What is up, guys? Welcome back to another Wednesday night in small groups. We have a lot of awesome things happening today. Halloween just passed. How was your Halloween, Nathan?
Cold. Cold.
Cold.
Cold.
We actually
Apparently
hung
too
out
cold.
together
I
on
know, it was
Halloween
fun.
at our house. We had the bonfire set up out front.
Animated pumpkins.
Animated pumpkins. It was pretty epic.
It was neat.
Maybe we can show a picture right here
Yeah.
or something, or a video clip.
Yeah. Do
Right.
you guys want to
wanna
see what it
All right, here.
was like?
Here
Okay.
was our Halloween night.
Around in a cemetery, raising the roof in a mausoleum, tangoing on tombstones, tap dancing with demons, modern goblins are afraid. It's night.
All right, it is game time, and since Halloween just happened, I don't know about you, but I saw some awful costumes.
Oh my goodness.
Mine was one of them. I'm just not that creative, and I have this big vision in my head, and
Yeah.
it never comes out quite right. So we're gonna play a game today, in celebration of the terrible costumes we saw over this past weekend. It's called "What Are Those?" Bad Halloween Costume Edition. So what's gonna happen is
I
we're
love
gonna
it.
see a costume on the screen, and we have to be the first one to shout out what they were trying to be.
What they were trying to be. Okay.
Yeah. Sound
Do
good?
that. Yep.
All right, here we go. Yeah.
Oh, they're zoomed in.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
I mean, they're not zoomed in too much though. It's not like the atomic or
Okay,
even more
okay,
so.
that's
It's
good.
just like slightly zoomed in.
Okay.
We'll be able to get these.
Okay.
Are you ready? You guys
Yeah.
ready at home? Here we go. Iron Man.
Man.
Yeah.
You got that so quick. Yeah. Man, the kids at home didn't even get a chance.
Boom.
This.
Yeah. I'm in it to win it this week.
I can tell.
I'm ready.
Wow.
I'm ready.
you're
I'm a little hyped up right
competitive.
now.
All right.
Wow. I like the effort. It's construction paper. That's pretty good.
And a lot of tape.
And tape. Yeah. Packing tape. This is awesome. All right.
Okay.
Next one. Here we go.
Okay. Oh.
A pumpkin.
Okay.
What do you think?
A carrot.
Yeah. It's not a pumpkin.
A
A Cheeto.
a Cheeto.
Oh, that's the worst thing. Look, she's got a little like bag of Cheetos.
Yeah, see that?
Wait, is that kind of looks like Katy Perry?
It might be.
All right.
Okay.
Dude, that's a
I don't know.
terrible
That's
costume.
awful.
Don't be a Cheeto next year, guys. All right, here we go. Princess Leia?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean,
Hey,
that's
you're
just like
quick.
a big old that's like a giant bed sheet.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a ghost. I don't know.
I think you're. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, look,
Man.
cinnamon rolls. Those are literally cinnamon rolls.
See, that's actually pretty awesome.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
I like that one.
Next
That's
one.
Funny.
Unicorn.
A narwhal.
Oh, that's a good guess, Nathan. Wow, well done.
I got one.
Yeah,
and it was a
Nathan.
weird one.
That is such a weird one. I
Okay.
love it. All right. Here's our next one. Okay. A pencil. Because those are the erasers. And their legs are the pencils?
A horse.
A horse. Okay.
A unicorn. I
unicorn.
was close.
Aw.
Oh, look at that guy.
Yeah, this is embarrassing. I feel for you, dude.
So I was halfway right.
You get a half point then. Yeah. Good job.
Point.
Love it.
Bert
That's Bert
and
and
Ernie.
Ernie. Oh, you beat me.
Ah.
Well done. Oh,
Yes. That's
my
terrifying.
goodness. This is what nightmares are made of.
Holy cow. That's
Oh.
the scariest thing I've seen in a
I didn't
long
know
time.
this was going to be frightening
Oh,
tonight, guys.
sorry,
I'm sorry.
guys.
We should have put like a PG-13 warning
Seriously,
or something.
That
All right.
is nightmare fuel.
Woo. Next one.
Okay.
A chef
It's
from Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid. Oh,
All right, chef cooking a lobster. I mean, I said chef
You
first,
said
right?
chef,
All
so
right.
that's fine. But you
Sweet.
did not say cooking a lobster.
No, because I mean, we both said Little Mermaid, assuming it was
But he doesn't-
Sebastian,
Yeah, I guess that's true.
because the chef tried to cook Sebastian.
Sebastian's a crab.
What are those?
AT-AT.
It's a dog, though, isn't it? Is that a human or a dog? If that's a human AT-AT, that's going to be really impressive.
I don't know. But
It's
it
a dog.
is a dog.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well done, Nathan.
All right.
That
so
dude, look at the dog's face. Like that is like,
he's
why
not
would you
happy.
ever do this
He's
to me?
so just done with it.
Please make this stop. All right, here we go. Mickey
Make it
Minnie.
up. You got it. I'll give it to you. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
this
not how you
is
spell mini.
wow.
That's like a small
miniature
one.
mouse. Yeah. This is the
Yikes.
Wish.com version of
Yep.
Mickey and Minnie. I
I'm
love it.
not a fan of any of that.
Why is his tongue sticking out?
Why wouldn't it not be?
That's fair. I don't know how many more we have left. Let's see.
Let's go.
Mermaid.
You're just fast on the draw today.
A
The Little Mermaid.
Dude, and it's a cat. Y'all don't do this.
Well, cats are awful, so whatever. They deserve
my goodness. Look at this thing.
I don't like that at all.
There is everything wrong with it. Yeah. All right.
Terrifying.
I think that was it.
All right. Well,
Nathan,
Matt,
good job.
you clearly won this game, but, that was a lot of fun.
Thanks for playing with us. All right, guys, welcome back to Rad. We've been flashing back to the 90s these last several weeks. Tonight is actually our last night of this series.
Can't believe it's already over.
I know, the
so
90s
much fun.
are gone, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's terrible.
I love the 90s.
Now, everything was pretty rad in the 90s.
Totally.
Except for cell phones. Those didn't start to gain popularity until a little later on in the 90s.
Yep, later 90s.
And so we had pagers. Did you ever have a pager,
I
Nathan?
never had a pager.
Okay, so I had a pager.
My goodness.
And basically, it was kind of like a texting device, except you could only send a certain number of characters, and it was only numbers when they first started. So we would just, you would dial a phone number from, my landline phone, which you guys probably don't even know what that is. But from my landline phone, I would dial the pager number.
And it would just beep,
and then it would, beep and tell you to enter
number.
the message, and then I enter my message and hit pound.
How did you enter a message?
Numbers.
Oh.
So some of the things we would say, if I was texting my girlfriend, I would send 143, which meant I love you, because I has one letter, love has 4 letters, and you has 3 letters.
This is why I never had a pager.
Yeah.
This seems way too complicated.
You would also do 1543, which means I still love you. Like maybe you guys got in a fight or something, and you got to just remind.
But couldn't there be other combination of words that had that number of letters?
100%. But this was pager code, texting code.
Think about
all that
this.
type of stuff. Yeah.
I hate you and I love you would be the exact same.
No one has to know. Now, again, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, but Nathan, did you ever write messages on your calculator that could only be read upside down?
Yes.
So we did that with pagers as well. So you would still do the 1-4, which when you turned upside down said hi.
Yep.
Or you would do the hello, which is 07734. I remember all these.
Yep.
You would do 007, like if you had a secret, because 007, he was a spy.
Okay.
And then
So
121 is we need to talk. And it's because it's time for this one-to-one conversation, right?
Man, I don't know.
Now that phrase, anytime I got paged with 121, your heart starts beating a little faster. You get a little scared because those things are about to get tense.
Fun fact, if your boss ever tells you the same thing, you have the same reaction.
That's true. Yeah, whether it's your parent, a friend that maybe you recently had a fight with, or your boss. Usually there's a conflict and something needs to be resolved.
Yep.
Right. And we've probably all been in situations where we've had a fight with someone.
Yeah.
Things got tense. Things needed to be resolved. Maybe it wasn't physical, but it was a verbal fight. One of those, maybe I know, for a lot of middle schoolers, no offense, I'm looking at you, middle schoolers. We're fighting now.
Oh.
Right. Those moments.
Yep.
And then the next day, you're we're still fighting. I don't remember what we're fighting about, but we're still fighting, right? Those types of things. Eventually, those lead to a 1-2-1, a we need to talk type of moment. Now, we all know what it's like to fight, but I think we don't often know what it looks like, what it means to make peace.
Okay.
So, Nathan, when I say the word peace, what does that mean to you? How would you just simply define peace?
I mean, peace, I would just think the end of conflict. If you have peace in a situation, it's implied that it almost implies that there was conflict that has now been resolved, right? If all of a sudden you were to read there's peace between Russia and Ukraine right now, that would give you okay, the fighting has stopped, the war has ended, there's no longer a conflict.
That's good. Yeah. No more fighting, a calm, a quiet. I know sometimes for parents especially, peace is just that 5 minutes where you don't have a kid that's asking you for something or jumping across the couch and breaking your face. Remember that a few weeks ago? That was fun. So we all have different ideas of what is peace for us. yeah, it's an end of conflict. I like that. Peace is a really, really good thing,
Right.
but I don't think we often appreciate it until it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
You know what
That's a
I'm
good
saying?
point,
Like that's
yeah.
one of those things that like we don't realize how important it is until it's gone,
Until it's
until
gone.
we have the fighting or the chaos. Um,
Mm.
and so, as always, we're going to go to the Bible.
Love it.
God has a lot to say about peace. Some of the things he says, like we've been looking at this whole series, they're pretty radical. We're in James. We're going to continue in James today. Again, just for clarification, if you haven't been with us, radical in the 90s meant cool. But we're using the definition of it means different or revolutionary or countercultural, right? And so what Jesus said about loving God and loving other people is pretty radical. And what he teaches us about peace is radical as well. So we've been in James.
Yep.
James is who to Jesus? Why?
James is the brother of Jesus.
The brother of Jesus.
Half brother, I guess.
Yeah, spent a lot of time with him.
Yeah. Knew him well.
Knew him well, knew his teachings pretty well. James reiterates a lot of things that Jesus said just in his own words. I think based upon his experience of living with Jesus and learning like in a super close relationship with Jesus. So let's see what James has to say about peace.
Okay.
Open up your Bibles, James chapter 3, verse 16.
James
and
3:16.
Chapter 4, verses 1 through 3, we're going to look at today.
Wow. Do you want me to read both of those at once?
Do
you want me to...
Yeah.
Okay.
Straight up.
Well, James 3:16 says, for where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every evil thing. And then going over to 4, verses 1 to 3, James writes, what is the source of quarrels and conflicts among you? Is the source not your pleasure that wage war? Is the source not your pleasures that wage war in your body parts? You lust and do not have, so you commit murder. And you are envious and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask with the wrong motives, so that you may spend what you request on your pleasures.
Okay, so James gets straight to the point. Why do we fight with each other?
Because we're selfish.
Because we're selfish. Yeah. He's right? Like that is why we tend to fight with it. Like it is a natural reflex for us, this idea of selfishness. And it usually doesn't accomplish what we think it's going to accomplish, right? Like we think it's going to keep us safe or get us what we really need or make our lives better, but selfishness oftentimes leads instead to like fighting and bitterness and destruction and damaged relationships with each other and with God.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's an alternative that James talks about. So go back to chapter 3.
Okay.
Reread verse 16 again, but let's continue through verse 18
to the end
and see if he gives us a little bit of a solution here.
You got it. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every evil thing. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peace-loving, gentle, reasonable, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial, free of hypocrisy, and the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace.
Peace by those who make peace. That's good.
That's
so
very
James
good.
is calling us to be peacemakers, which tells me that peace isn't something that just happens.
Right. It takes intentionality.
It's something that's made, right? It's normal for us to have conflict.
Yep.
And all conflict is not bad.
Right.
Right? James doesn't tell us to be peacekeepers.
Okay.
He tells us to be peacemakers.
Okay.
Right? And so he also gives us a little small glimpse into what it looks like to be a peacemaker. Like, how do we do that? Well, it's a wisdom that comes from heaven, he says.
Yeah.
Right? Through the Holy Spirit who guides us, who directs us, who empowers us through the words and the examples of Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Who is God in the flesh. And
Right.
so when Jesus, God in the flesh, was on earth, he said a lot of things about peace as well. He actually had this really cool thing called the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5 and onward.
Yeah.
A really creative name that we've given to these words of Jesus because Jesus was giving a sermon.
And he was on a mount.
And he was on a mountain, right?
Not a horse?
Yeah, he did. Well, I don't know, maybe. So in this sermon, like Jesus would often take the world's understanding of who God was pleased with,
right?
Like the things that pleased God, how the world thought about that, and Jesus kind of flipped it on its head. And he often said things like, "You've heard blah blah blah,
right?
But I say blah blah blah."
Right. And what's interesting is a lot of times it was almost like a stricter standard.
Right.
Like he says, you've heard don't murder, but I'm telling you, if you are angry at
Yeah.
somebody, you basically murder them in your heart.
Right. And so the human understanding was that God was pleased if I didn't physically murder somebody.
Right.
But Jesus says, no, even if I've thought bad thoughts towards someone, that's just as bad in
Yeah.
God's eyes. And so, yeah, very radical, countercultural type of teaching here. So let's see what Jesus has to say about like fighting and peace and stuff. Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. This is part of his Sermon on the Mount.
Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God.
Okay. So we need to be people who make peace, who fight for peace instead of fighting for our own self-interest.
Hmm.
And I love, like, there's a promise there.
Yeah.
You will then be called a child of God,
That's awesome.
which maybe there's a warning there too.
Right. So the opposite is true. If you are not a peacemaker, you are no longer a child of God.
Yikes.
Scary.
That is super scary, right? Like, and this is the opposite of the world's understanding.
Right.
Like, the world celebrates strength and dominance and winning at all costs and like preserving self.
Right. Peace through domination.
Right. Yeah, which is kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
But Jesus, God himself, shows us this different way. He didn't just talk about it, Jesus lived it. This was how he interacted with people. His goal when he came to earth was actually to be a peacemaker.
Right.
Between us and God, right? He wanted to bridge that gap, and he didn't do it by fighting with us. He didn't do it by constantly arguing and just being the most dominant. Like people were expecting the savior of the world to come in and be this like powerful
Come in.
war hero type of thing.
Yep.
And Jesus came as this peacemaker to the point where he sacrificed himself. He laid down his life on our behalf. Right? So like think about yourself. Think about your family, your friends, your school, the world. How would it be different if we decided to fight for peace instead of fighting for my own self-recognition or fighting against each other?
Yeah.
Like this would be game-changing, world-changing if we really loved people and treated people the way Jesus does, following his example. So if you want radical change, we've been kind of talking each week about what radical people do.
Okay.
And when it comes to peace, radical people, we fight for peace.
I love that.
So in a conflict, we can't always control the outcome.
Okay.
We don't necessarily have full control over every situation, but we can always contribute to trying to make peace in some way. And so we want to give you 3 ideas tonight to help get you started.
Love it.
Nathan, what's our first one?
First one is stop the drama. Don't start it.
Yeah. Raise your hand if you start drama sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
All right.
Like maybe a little bit more than we care to admit. Like we tend to start it. Like all of our words, the looks we give people, our actions, the things we don't do or say, like that's all capable of hurting other people and creating conflict and causing some drama. And so be thinking about what small thing you can do this week to stop it instead of starting some drama.
And fun fact, this kind of piggybacks, it's crazy how everything builds on everything we've already talked about. Last week we talked about the tongue, right? And how your words can have these huge impacts. That is this right here. Like you want to watch what you say, that'll stop 90% of your drama.
Yeah, love that. The second one is build a bridge, don't burn it.
Okay.
What when you hear the phrase burning bridges, what does that typically imply?
Oh man, that is like I am out and I'm going to just torch everything, any relationship I had behind me. So it's like, again, the examples I would see would be like, all right, I'm not going to be friends with this person anymore, and I'm going to make sure I just like totally tear them down as I exit that relationship, or I'm going to quit my job, and so instead of giving 2 weeks notice and working hard till the end and then moving on, I'm going to just walk out that day. I'm going to maybe take some free food with me if I work at a place that had food, or like, and just make sure, just make everybody angry at me as I leave.
Yeah. So what we need to be doing instead is reaching out instead of pushing people away, right? Instead of burning those bridges and damaging the relationship even more, we need to do what we can to repair those and reconcile those. All right. What's our next one?
Fight for others, not just yourself.
Yeah, that's a tough one because again, our natural response is that selfishness. I need
Right.
to defend myself and build myself up. And uh, but I think the way of Jesus is it's not about me, it's about
Mm.
others. And I need to defend the defenseless and
Yeah.
fight for those who can't fight for themselves and stand up for against injustices and stand up for the things that Jesus is for, right? Instead of fighting against others,
Right.
I need to see how I can fight for others.
Mm.
Yeah. And our final one is make peace with God, not just with other people. Like I
Oh.
know a lot of times as we talk about and we open up the Bible, we look at, okay, how can this apply to me?
Yeah.
How can I start to figure this out in my everyday life? Like tomorrow when I go to school, what does this mean for me and my actions? But uh, we need to look at the fact that all of the relationships we have with each other are secondary.
Right.
The most important one is our relationship with God. And so I could have like be living at perfect peace with everyone around me, but if I'm not in relationship and at peace with God, none of the rest of it matters, right? And
good.
so I need to recognize that Jesus is the one who made a way for us to have peace with God, right? Through his life, his death,
Mhm.
and his resurrection, we have the opportunity to have relationship, close relationship with God himself, even after our sin has separated us.
That's awesome.
Even in the midst of all that. So like if you don't yet have peace with God, the only way to have that is through a relationship with Jesus. Now, if you do have that, if you do have peace with God, then making peace with others is one way that we can join Jesus on his mission of bringing heaven to earth,
I love
of
that.
God's kingdom here and now growing and going. And so we need to remember to stop fighting for ourselves and my own wants and needs. It's much more radical for us to start to fight for peace.
Mm.
And so this week, our goal is that you might take a few steps towards that.
That's awesome. Well, thanks guys so much for joining us tonight. We're going to turn you over to your small groups now. But again, as a reminder, if you've not done so already, take a minute, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any updates. Also, if you haven't been doing so and you have like TikTok, follow us on TikTok because we've actually got some pretty fun
We post some fun
videos.
stuff there.
There's
yeah.
some cool stuff going on
Yep.
there, and it's only on TikTok, nowhere else. And then lastly,
Nathan, I actually posted to TikTok and then to Instagram
Oh.
and then to Facebook.
but it doesn't get posted to YouTube Shorts yet, does it?
It does not. So follow us on
Oh.
one of our social media channels.
That's
That's not
fine.
YouTube also. That way
We
you can
could-
see these fun videos.
We could post it to
We
YouTube
could do
Shorts
that.
if you want. And if you haven't done so already, I know we're finishing up this series, so you'd be jumping in pretty late into it, but you can still join in our Bible plan. You can
Love
still
it.
get caught up. The link is in the comments, and you can comment below. Let us know what you think.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.